Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. We'll go ahead and get started in just about 1 minute while we wait for everyone to arrive. Thanks for being here. I will give it another 30 seconds or so. We'll go ahead and get started again. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Looks like we're getting a lot of attendees rolling in. So, all right. All right, we'll go and get started again. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Good afternoon. Today, we're going to talk about digital marketing for jewelers in 2026. So, we're going to just go over what's new things like what's trending, what are all the different strategies to follow to drive sales. We do these webinars once a month. We actually haven't done one in a couple months now, just because of the holidays and everything. We usually, the Edge, as since we're a partner with the Edge, they'll put this on their schedule. So that's why we do these webinars typically and provide some, insights to edge users, but as well as and everyone's welcome. A lot of our clients will join, um, but we help, edge customers with, or one of two of their web partners. So we do a lot of edge integrations. So thank you for being here. Today we're going to talk about the evolution of digital marketing in 2026 for jewelers, SEO in 2026, and the impact of AI and answer engine optimizations. We'll talk a little bit about that. So, and some of these strategies are a little bit newer, but we've seen the results like fairly quickly. So, looking forward to kind of going over these things. We'll talk about best practices, the changing landscape of Google ads and Meta ads, programmatic advertising, email marketing strategies for 2026, social media best practices. We'll open it up for Q&A towards the end, and then we'll just talk about some of our solutions as well. So if you have any questions though throughout the webinar, don't hesitate to put them in the Q&A. We'll probably try to answer rather than having to wait to the end, answer questions throughout. So happy to answer questions as we go. I'm Anthony Arechiga, VP of Sales and Marketing. This is coming up on my 19th year here at GemFind. So helped a lot of jewelers with digital marketing and web design over the years, all basically since the beginning of digital marketing and Google Ads. I don't even think, yeah, I think Google Ads just started to come about, and everyone could make money back then. Now it's like gotten so granular. You could still do pretty well. We've a lot of our clients are doing really well, but it's just a lot more granular. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. Also have a special guest, Brad Boothe. He's our director of digital marketing. Thanks for being here, Brad. And he's had 25 years of experience as a marketing executive. Brad has led growth strategies across multiple industries and served as vice president of marketing for several organizations. Over the past decade, he's specialized in helping or agencies build and scale their digital marketing programs. So happy to have Brad on board. He's coming up on his second year here at GemFind, so he's been able to really help a lot of our clients, just continue to build on their digital marketing, things like, creating content calendars and all kinds of great things that jewelers should be doing today. So, Brad, thanks for being here, and hopefully I got your bio correct.
Yeah, that was it's pretty accurate.
Thank you.
So,
Thanks for being here.
thanks.
So Brad's probably going to review the majority of the information. I'm going to talk about SEO a little bit. I'm pretty passionate about SEO and how AI is affecting SEO. So I've got some examples to share here in just a minute. And if you're unfamiliar with GemFind, we've been doing this for over 25 years, specializing in just the jewelry space. We're a Shopify Plus partner. We have created a lot of apps for Shopify specifically, and then also have apps, plugins for WordPress and extensions for Magento and things like Ring Builder, Diamond Link, etc. But really, like our passion is to just empower jewelers to grow their business. And so, whatever way that we can do that through digital strategies, that's our passion. So, a couple of us at the JCK show last year. Let's see here. So we'll talk first again about the current landscape of digital marketing and the evolution of digital marketing in 2026 for jewelers. Let's see here. So really there's an increase in importance in multi-channel marketing. This is not that new, but really it's you can't really have true success online and drive more traffic if there's like a hole in any aspect of your digital marketing. So, you got to have a good social media strategy. You got to have a good email strategy. Your SEO has to be dialed in. You got to have like the best, website user experience. All of these things, your Google ads, your meta ads, everything has to be really dialed in and complete to have success in today's day and age. So the increasing importance of multi-channel marketing is really the name of the game in 2026. Also, there's a greater emphasis on data-driven decisions and personalized marketing. So, things like AI chatbots, email automation tools that Brad will talk about in a little bit. But really, it's about personalized marketing, and also like even programmatic advertising, which Brad will talk about in a little bit, that targets, clients based on their, shopping and buying patterns. So it's really personalized, and even me as a consumer, most of the ads that I see are really catered to me. So like it's dangerous for me to go on social media because there's always going to be something that I like. And so I think that that's really kind of a big part of what's happening in today's day and age. And then the shift towards mobile first and AI driven content. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Um, a couple key changes in 2026 is really more AI integration and SEO and ads and content creation. So Brad's going to really, break down how AI is affecting the ads. I'll break down a lot of the SEO and content creation, but really, really important things and really like high quality results that we're seeing on a lot of these different avenues and related to AI integration. And it basically is a common thread in 2026 throughout all of digital marketing. Um, Brad and I were just talking about that earlier. Continued growth of e-commerce and digital storefronts for jewelers, and then increased focus on content marketing, creating dedicated pages for search intent. So, have exact examples that I can show related to that as well. And the other thing is, if you're on this webinar and you're not on Shopify yet, it is really a great solution for e-commerce. And even if you don't want to sell online, we've been able to see significant improvements since jewelers move over to Shopify, because it has all the best practices built in. So we'll talk a little bit about those SEO best practices and just user experience in general here in just a minute as well. Let's go to the next slide. See here. Computer's running a little slow, so forgive me for some reason. Hey, Brad, are you able to see my screen still? You're
I can
muted.
see the screen, but yeah, it's not
Yeah.
changing.
Right, let me oops. Okay, it went way ahead. There we go. Okay. So AI powered SEO, what's new for jewelers? So AI tools like Gemtext AI are transforming SEO by generating high optimized content faster. So we've created a tool that allows jewelry businesses create better product titles and descriptions. So that's one aspect of, leveraging AI to expand on your SEO is extremely important and really the commonplace today. And then AI-driven tools to help prioritize user intent, improving content relevance and engagement. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in the SEO strategy. And then also some of the latest algorithms, they focus on delivering answers based on the searcher behavior rather than just keywords. So a lot of the keywords that people are typing in are show a lot more intent when they're searching for that. Like you know, best jewelers in, Phoenix, Arizona or whatever it is. Like it's going to be a lot longer tail. And so that's some of the new algorithm changes. So really important to kind of take a look at that and how that's going to apply today. And then answer engine optimization for jewelers. So what is AEO? So that means AEO focuses on optimizing content for answer engines like Google's featured snippets. So these are the first things that show up on Google now. And so it's really important to incorporate both like an AI and AEO strategy as well as your, overall as part of your overall SEO strategy. Um, so there's a rise of conversational search, like I mentioned. Search engines are increasingly focused on providing direct answers to user queries like best engagement rings in Phoenix or and then optimizing for those direct answers. Create clear, concise content that directly answers common questions, improving visibility in featured snippets and voice search. So I'll give some examples of that here in just a minute, as long as my computer keeps doesn't act up. So best practices for answer engine optimization using structured data. So these are kind of like technical things. So it's called schema markup. That's really telling the search engines that this is a certain thing. So like for example, FAQ content. You're telling Google this is an FAQ. These are frequently answered questions. Or you're telling Google this is a review, or this is anything that Google uses in their search results. You need to tell Google what this is, and that's built directly into the sites that we build. So we usually add FAQ schema and review schema and all the other types of schemas out there. So search engines understand the content and context for what we're trying to optimize for. So it's also important to create FAQs and concise paragraphs that answer customer queries. And then also, like I mentioned, long tail keywords and natural language to match how people ask questions online. So one of the most important components to SEO is doing keyword research. So I use a tool called Keyword Magic Tool on SEMrush most of the time for keyword research. But what I'll do is I'll just put something really broad in, like jewelry Phoenix or jewelry Los Angeles, and then it'll give me all of the search queries around those two keywords. And then we can find out, okay, how much search volume is there for every different search query? What are the top search queries? And then build pages that address the concern of the person searching for that search query. So really important to create that long tail keywords and then create a page that satisfies that search. So we'll break that down here in just a minute more. These are some SEO examples and results. So what we typically do, one, we build a dedicated page according to the search query. And then second, we start building out a content strategy. So we write in what we can do now with leveraging AI is write a significant amount of blogs, like 5 days a week, write a blog. So in the past, it was like you'll write a blog once or twice a month, maybe, if that. Nowadays, it's all about content creation and creating an internal linking structure that creates more authority for the pages that people are searching for. And so what we do is we find what we call keyword clusters that support that main page. So for example, this one, I'm trying to build pages for this jewelry store in Phoenix that is for page jewelry stores in Phoenix, AZ. And then I'll find a bunch of keywords that support that main topic, and then start writing content for every single one of those. And then when you do that, you start seeing your content impressions increasing significantly. So the content impressions for this client has gone up 82%. So they have 268,000 content impressions this month compared to last month. We started working on this a few months ago for this client. 727 clicks to their content. But it's not just about the content that's created this way. It's also about building the rankings for this this jewelry store. Also, we even do it for gem finds. So just showing an example. We follow the same strategies that we do for our clients for our own business, so we can dominate search engines for our clients and for us. But this is what happens when you start doing this type of content. So we started creating this content over the past year for this client, and they started out under 2,000 visits per month, but you can see how it's skyrocketed to now 21,000 visits per month to their website, and their keyword rankings have jumped up from, a couple thousand to 12,000 rankings on Google now. And that's not just, again, it's not just content. We're tracking a bunch of keywords like, you know, engagement rings in Phoenix, jewelry store in Scottsdale. 99 of their keywords have improved over the past year. Only one have declined. So the strategy is again creating a page that addresses the concern of the person searching for something for and trying to get an answer for what they're looking for, and then creating content that supports those search queries. That's the name of the game. And this works for like multiple clients. Like this is another client in the DC area, you know, getting the same type of results, 2,800 clicks to their content. We just started this content like 2 months ago, and they're already generating traffic from this content. It's again, just in the last 2 months, they've gone from like, I don't know, 16,000 visits to 26,000 visits, and you could see just in the last couple months how their keywords have jumped up. So wanted to show a couple examples of the difference between someone started a year ago and someone that just started. You can see the results start to generate. So really important to just follow SEO best practices, keep answer engine optimization and AI SEO on top of mind for 2026. Also, website best practices, these are not so new, but mobile first design is really important. Everyone shopping on their phones. So Shopify is great for mobile performance, so in mobile optimization. So, if you're on Shopify and you're using one of the themes, you're typically going to be pretty safe on that mobile design. It works great. And responsive, make sure it adapts to all screen sizes. Also, fast loading. Keep the page load times under 3 seconds to reduce bounce rates and improve user retention. So if you don't have fast load times, that actually affects your SEO ranking. So and even mobile nowadays as well. So like you got to have the best user experience if you want to get users to convert. So the name of the game is you know, dedicated page, and then good user experience and fast loading. And really, again, driving that traffic up so you have enough people to convert. If you don't have enough traffic to your website, like a lot of times I'll look at a jeweler, even if they're in a decent market, their website traffic is flat. They're you know th- they're getting maybe a couple hundred visits per month to maybe a couple thousand in almost most markets. And so you're not going to get conversions on that amount of traffic. You got to keep moving it up, moving the needle, moving it up. and then that's when you're going to start getting better results. Also, clear, intuitive navigation, pretty standard stuff. Streamlined checkout. Again, if you're using Shopify, they have the best checkout. They reduce friction in the buying process by removing the header and footer, so you just focus on checking out. If you're not on Shopify or you have some custom platform, just follow what Shopify is doing generally. So also use sharp, high quality images and videos of products, including 360-degree views or videos showing jewelry in action. That's usually what's engaging, similar to what engages on social media is usually like short form video content. Same thing is going to perform well on websites or in advertising. I think Brad's going to talk a little bit more about that. Also, trust signals. So, displaying customer reviews. If you're not doing much e-commerce now, what I usually recommend is just show your store's Google reviews on your product pages because, e-commerce websites, they'll typically have product reviews on every product. For a lot of jewelers, like, the benefit of a brick and mortar jewelry store is that you have a location. And so, you can convert a little bit higher. You have that trust, but you need to remind people that this is a trustworthy store on every step of the buyer's journey. So I'd recommend putting your reviews on your homepage. I would put it on every page, like remind people why they're potentially shopping with you. And so that really helps build customer confidence. And then personalization, leverage AI to offer personalized product recommendations based on behavior and improving engagement and sales. So there's a few ways to do that. There's some AI apps out there that can actually help merchandise your website better, but also email automation. Email automation also works with SMS now as well. But if people enter your email funnel and they're clicking on products multiple times, you can send them out similar items, or you can say, "Hey, do you have any questions about this item? You've viewed it multiple times." So, um, having personalized marketing and communication is the key in 2026. So I'm gonna have Brad take over from here, and hopefully you won't have to suffer through my computer freezing anymore. Also, just wanted to mention if you do have any questions throughout, feel free to type them in the Q&A, and I'd be happy to answer them, or Brad if it makes more sense. So feel free to type any questions in the Q&A throughout this presentation here.
Thanks, Anthony.
Yep.
All right, so yeah, we're going to start out by talking about the changing landscape of Google Ads and Meta Ads. And there are going to be some recurring themes throughout what we've talked about. Some of them, Anthony talked about within SEO, and you're going to see it throughout the different things that we're going to talk about with digital marketing. But first, with as it relates to, and then my computer's doing the same thing. There we go. So, very first thing is AI and automation are now core, not optional. So both Google and Meta have had AI capabilities for the last couple of years, but they haven't made those things. They've mostly been tools that you could turn on as part of your campaigns and utilize from there. Now they're starting to have those on by default or built directly into the system already, to where you're starting to be able to get bidding that's AI assisted, creative that is AI assisted, um, targeting suggestions that are AI assisted. So the thing is that it's still AI is only as useful as the person using it. And so the data and things that it's collecting still needs some level of monitoring. But the main thing is initial campaign strategy and structure are more important than ever because in order to effectively use the AI tools that are built in, you have to have the correct starting point. We can obviously make modifications along the way to improve, but if that core structure and strategy is flawed, even the best AI is not going to be able to aid it. However, we're seeing, great strides that are being made within multiple campaigns just by leveraging some of the tools that are already built into these systems. One thing in particular, and this is directly related to Google Ads and their search campaigns, if you have keyword targeting and they're noticing in your targeted area there's search volume for things that are similar, it will start to pull those into your campaign. And it's great. It definitely helps improve campaigns. That said, it does take another level of paying attention, though, because it doesn't always pull in um, keywords that may be relevant to every single client, every single advertiser. It may work for most jewelers, maybe not every jeweler. So that still needs somebody to keep a close eye on it to make sure we're removing keywords that may not be applicable. But that said, we're getting the aid of not missing out on strong keyword searches because they're not initially put into the campaign. AI is able to develop that as it goes and make those suggestions and place those directly into the campaign if desired. So, like I said, AI is really changed the way that Google and Meta both operate. But you still need somebody that understands as a whole to get you started and to be able to leverage those tools for what they're best for. Discovery first shopping is expanding. So what that means is people are finding out about brands beyond just searching for the items. So the days of relying solely on Google search, I mean, you can still generate some sales solely off of Google search, but if you're looking for a robust marketing strategy across digital formats that are going to lead to consistent sales and increasing sales, you need to be hitting them before they search. Awareness and more top of the funnel type of advertising through digital means, both in Google and Meta, become much more important nowadays. Google has expanded over the last few years beyond just what used to be called Google AdWords. That's why they call it Google Ads now, is because there's some outreach components within Google. They use your search-based themes, once again, utilizing some of that built-in AI, but it uses the searches that are happening in the campaigns to then create lookalike audiences for outward marketing that starts to hit before they search, that type of the discovery shopping as we're talking about. Same thing with Meta. That's a great avenue for awareness. When coupled with Google, you're creating awareness through one channel with that still has actionable items with it, but then also coupling it with the search network ads that you have running. So it starts to create that more full scale approach as people are going throughout that journey, not just trying to capture those near the bottom of the funnel that are searching. This will be another one of those recurring themes throughout that short form video is driving performance. What is short form video? It's exactly what it sounds like. Short versions, typically 15 seconds or less. Um, and it's typically shot vertical. Think about the way someone would shoot something on their phone. It comes across as a bit organic, and so that there has an authenticity to it. You still want to have a professional look to it, but so there is a balance. But it creates that educational and or emotional appeal that could be better than a hard sale. And so but we're seeing that driven in all forms of digital media right now, and especially as it relates to Meta. Google also in those outreach forms like within their Performance Max campaigns has areas that are able to take advantage of short form video as well. First party data and privacy safe tracking. So this has to do with a lot of the laws that have come into to play over the last 2 to 3 years that have restricted data tracking. Um, Here in the US, we're still quite a ways behind what they're doing in Europe. So we're still able to collect some first party data, or I'm sorry, third party tracking data, but it is much more restricted than it was several years ago. So the reliance on third party data is not as great as it once was. So we're having to rely more on first party data. That said, there's a lot of benefits to relying on that. We're utilizing things like email lists, CRM lists to be able to, it's not just about targeting existing customers, but it's about creating those lookalike audiences. And so it's able to cross that user behavior and find other audiences that are similar to that. So it's feeding that data to the system to allow it to find similar types and better segment your audiences. Optimizing towards conversions, both with Google and Meta, is more important than ever. Campaigns that optimize towards like clicks or impressions aren't getting that valuable data because it's not on an actionable item like a conversion is. A conversion is something like, for instance, with Google, if we can track store visits, somebody that interacts with an ad on their mobile device and then visits the store within 30 days counts as a store visit. You can also, as you know, track calls, form fills. So those are conversions that you track that then when users take those actions, it's able to once again find similar audiences that are taking those types of actions. So that's why they become even more important because we're not able to track as much data on the individual user. And this is going to be another one that you'll see is going to pop up in several different places because it's affecting far more than just Google and Meta. You've heard me reference funnel several times, in case you're not aware. So a full funnel strategy really is the new standard for all digital marketing campaigns. We I always tell clients I maximize my job is to maximize the budget that they have. And so when allowed, this is the ideal approach where you're able to hit customers regardless of what stage they are at in the funnel. We had mentioned, awareness being way more important now, and as you can see, that's really the top of the funnel stage, where we're doing more outreach. Consideration is much more closer to that, where you're starting to get searches, they fall more in that category. And then obviously we're mentioning the conversions. That's when they're taking the action items we want them to, whether it's making a purchase directly from your site or visiting your store. And that last is creating that repeat customer, that customer loyalty. And so there's things that you're going to want to do that outreach that keeps you top of mind with them when they're looking for their next jewelry purchase. So now we've talked about the kind of changing landscape with Google and Meta, and then we talked about also creating awareness outside of searches. You may be thinking, where else can we advertise besides with Google and Meta? And that's where programmatic advertising comes in. For those that may not be aware, programmatic advertising is essentially everything outside of um, social media and Google Ads. It's placement on premium websites, apps, streaming services, video services. So pretty much like I was saying, everything outside of the social networks and the and Google search can fall under programmatic. It can be display ads, it can be animated ads, it can be video ads. So all different types. It's bidding in real time, just like you do on other platforms, and so you're essentially bidding it with other advertisers for a targeted audience that you can divvy up by geographically, many different ways that you can target. But essentially, it allows you to expand your advertising and really create more of that full funnel approach that we're talking about. So why does programmatic matter for jewelry brands? So it's high impact brand presence in premium environments. So what we mean by that is get your ads seen in places where the type of customer you're looking for are likely to be at. So you want your ads to appear on websites that are featuring luxury products, lifestyle products that are more fashion related. Certain news websites that are hitting a more affluent demographic. So we can use demographic targeting to hit on these different websites where we can find more likely jewelry buyers. And then streaming TV and online video is and I'll be talking about more of this in just a second, but it's becoming a great opportunity for jewelers to start to separate themselves from other competition. So once again, that full funnel support that we spoke about, programmatic can actually hit in all areas of the funnel. With that brand discovery, just the general awareness at the upper funnel, but we also have ways that we can retarget and hit more mid-funnel users. And then, of course, lower funnel is where we're able to immediate impact with shopping-based ads that can result in direct conversions. So once again, this is helping to support that full funnel approach. And then some programmatic trends that are kind of say shaping 2026, but some of these are carrying over from 2025 as well. But as I mentioned, connected TV, streaming television is a major growth driver for jewelry brands. It's for several reasons. A lot of other advertising platforms have become oversaturated. Where streaming, it's a good way to separate yourself, especially local jewelers, because many of the ads that you see on streaming services are for national brands, and local brands tend to stand out because there's not a lot of competition for that. Plus, the household income tends to be higher for most streaming families that have streaming services. So you're likely in more front of a qualified audience that you're looking for. Um,
And
and,
and,
and
and
it's
you can
really
and you can target based on de income demographics as well, right?
correct. So the same type of demographic targeting that we do on other forms of digital, it's allowing you um, to really take that granular targeting and apply it to the way people are watching television now. I believe in most markets, cable and like local cable providers and local broadcast providers are now making up that less than 50% of the market. And that's in the majority of markets. There's a few rural markets where it hasn't quite made that switch yet, but the majority of markets in the US have seen a switch to streaming and other forms of video from traditional cable and traditional broadcast. So not only is traditional cable and broadcast getting less viewers, but your ability to reach these people and target, and quite frankly, see the interaction and traction of your ads is far less than it is with streaming. But I've been working with Anthony mentioned at the beginning, I've been doing this for 25 years. So, like him, my career spans all of digital marketing. I think that, yeah, I don't even think Google Ads had started when I did. But I've seen the kind of evolution with the way that people watch television. And I've sold a lot of television advertising over the years. But I've also watched over the last 5 years, and I've even guided clients myself into transferring their traditional television budgets over into streaming and more platforms like that because that's where the audiences are now. And if you're trying to reach a younger audience, anybody under the age of 25, you're not going to reach them with broadcast and cable. You're definitely going to need to reach them through digital video.
Makes sense. Just to pause here, if anyone has any questions, feel free to type them in the Q&A. We're happy to answer those throughout the webinar today.
Yeah, no, this is a lot to go over. So yeah, we're
Mhm.
glad to pause in the middle and talk about some of these things and don't have to wait till the end. Um, so once again, back to audience targeting and first party signals. So as I mentioned, it affects every type of digital advertising, the way that the way that third party tracking has been diminished. But all the different platforms have different ways to combat that. A lot of it is similar from one to the other, but in this case, there's something called contextual targeting, which helps out. So, for instance, we can target websites, for people that like different bridal websites where there could be a lot of articles and stuff that are geared toward brides and weddings. We may want to target those for wedding band um, advertisements things that so things that align with that. So that's what contextual targeting does. You're not targeting them based on the demographic of the user. You're targeting based on the content that's on the website itself and how you feel that that's going to attract the same user that you're trying to attract as a customer. And then creative quality drives performance. It's hard to say that this is a trend for 2026 because I always believe that strong creative is a must. The great thing is you don't need to necessarily have a full in-house creative team to create good creative these days. You can shoot quality video on an iPhone the same way you can some very expensive cameras. I've been on some um, pretty high dollar sets for commercial shoots, and I've watched the director switch from a high dollar camera to an iPhone midway through because they're able to use the same video within. They have more flexibility using the iPhone. So I tell clients all the time, you can a lot of times you can shoot your own video. Um, there's a lot of editing software out there these days. So you don't have to necessarily invest thousands and thousands of dollars to create to have good creative nowadays. Um, it does help if you have somebody with a creative mind to help drive those ideas along, but executing it has become much easier. And use other brands as inspiration. Think brands that you find that you think do it well. Use them as inspiration for how you can modify your own advertising. But once again, you'll see in here motion graphics, short form video, cinematic sort of productions. Those are the things that are driving engagement. So as we talk more about the full-scale digital approach, we want to talk about how email marketing fits into that equation and some things that we're seeing in 2026. A lot of this is carryover from the previous year that we're seeing. But first off is hyper-personalization. Everybody knows for years, it's been tailored to send emails out to where you can personalize it to their name. And people are accustomed to that. It doesn't feel special anymore. Many of you may already be doing some of these things, but splitting up your list and identifying things like birthdays or anniversaries, especially in our industry, if somebody bought an engagement ring from you, that's a good opportunity to circle back to them, a year after that, or if they bought their wedding bands from you, the same sort of thing there. So it helps create that personalization, and it makes the customer feel like that you know them. Um, Once again, circling back around to AI powered content, it literally helps with all forms of digital, including your email. What it's doing is it's using data collected from hundreds of thousands of email campaigns and what they see as strong response rates from different headlines and different text, and that's where it'll make some suggestions based off of that. Now, like I was saying earlier with Google, you don't just necessarily take the suggestions as is, but a lot of times taking those suggestions, modifying to fit you is going to put you in a better position because it's leaning into data to make those recommendations. Kind of going back to full funnel, or as we also call it, omni-channel approach, where you're hitting multiple layers within digital marketing. Email is one of those components. So having it as a part of the full-scale digital marketing plan is sound practice, and you will see the benefits of that. The direct sales from email aren't as measurable as maybe some of the ads, but it complements things well, and it's especially good for repeat business. As far as the content, story-driven product and collection launches. So if you have a new product line or a new collection that you're launching, kind of doing a build up to that within your email content. Not just saying, here's a new piece that we have, but kind of creating some anticipation for it is a good way to gain engagement. Um, Also trying to get some of your clients to maybe share some of their stories with you. Back to someone that bought an engagement ring from you, if they share the story with you about how they engaged and how that went. That's the type of content that people like to read. Engaging gets them more likely to read your content, and then subsequently read upcoming emails as well. And then once again, back to privacy first data and engagement scoring. It's even with emails as well. Here is a little bit different because what it comes right back, it comes down to the list that you're using. Um, if you're acquiring lists through third party sources, you're likely to have a lot of bad data on it these days because a lot of times they're using third parties to collect that data. Utilizing your own list and cleaning that list several times a year is very important nowadays. Um, I used to guide clients to at least once a year go through and clean up their list. And when I say list cleanup, that means removing any old addresses, any bounce backs, um, updating it to who the new contact is, because those bounce backs will start to affect you negatively, even more so over time. So really, at least twice a year, or better yet, once a quarter, going through and trying to do list cleanup is ideal. So now we've talked a lot about different routes that were paid routes. Email marketing, not quite a paid route. But now we're going to talk about organic social media. So what you can do on social media, your non-paid ads, that are some trends and things that we're seeing that are working for jewelers heading into 2026. So some of you've heard this one before, but short form video reigns supreme. And so, as it does with ads, it's the same thing because it starts with organic. That's why it's working with ads, is because it's giving that organic feel. So of course you want to be using that within your within your own organic content. It works best with TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, those types of platforms that are more video based. But I can't stress this enough, 15 seconds or less. We talk to clients all the time that have a lot of ideas and a lot of things in their thinking. 30 seconds, a minute. I've heard some say 2 minutes. You're not going to keep people's attention that for that amount of time. Typically, any message can be delivered in 15 seconds or less, and you're going to see much higher engagement rates from those types of videos. Community driven and user generated content. So this is kind of similar to what I was talking about with email content, getting your customers to share their stories in your social media, engagement stories, wedding stories, anniversaries. Somebody, buys a really nice gift, for their husband and wants to surprise him, and they videoed it. Having that interaction for them to share that. It's not always easy to get people to share things. Sometimes you can wrap that up within a contest, or some sort of giveaway for if anybody shares their story online, they get a gift card, something along those lines to kind of entice that interaction. But it starts to build more engagement with other users, and it starts to build authenticity for your brand as well. So the more that you can encourage clients to come back and share their stories within your social media, it's going to make for a much better organic approach. And as I said, you'll start to see um, more likely more people will start to follow you organically because of that. Social commerce and shopping integration. So a lot of times people just think about shopping ads as a part of their paid ad strategy, but it is smart at times. You don't want to overuse it because you don't want, then you lose some of the authenticity we were talking about before. But if you are showcasing a particular item in one of your ads in a short form video, you can tag it with that product feed. You can tag it with that direct link um, to the checkout page for it. So it's not necessarily diminishing the kind of organic feel of your ad. You still are going to have that there, but it makes it easier for the user. If they're interested in the product, to have it right there to be able to click and go purchase. You're just increasing your opportunity to generate online sales through all of your social outreach, not just your paid your paid efforts, but also your organic efforts. But I can't stress enough, don't do it with every single post. It starts to hurt authenticity, but as it's appropriate, it becomes a good opportunity. Educational and value add content. So this is actually very easy to accomplish, especially if you're already doing, excuse me, writing blog content. A lot of times one blog could become three or four different social media posts. And so repurposing that kind of content, you're going to see it work well for you in social media because it is things that people are going to see as more informative. And so a lot of times that's more engaging. They don't see it as a sales tactic. They see it as, once again, informative, educational. So I always lean into the fact that most people are doing blog writing, whether you're writing one blog or 20 blogs a month. There's likely content that you can pull from that and turn into a social media post. And it doesn't just have to be, like a preview for the blog itself and then a link back to the blog. Those are very good to do, and I encourage you doing those. But it's also pulling out bits and pieces from that blog that can kind of stand alone as valuable information and using those to make posts. And then cross-platform repurposing. So a lot of times, if something works well on one platform, it'll work well on others. Now, it typically takes a little bit of tweaking. It's not going to be just plug and play from one to the next. And there might not just be editing for like image size or video size, things like that. Even some of the text, the call to action, you may want to change from one piece to the next. But the spirit, of the ad, is kind of consistent from one to the other. Um, because there's no reason to recreate the wheel. If it's working well in one place, it's likely going to work well in others. So make sure as you're creating that organic strategy that you're looking at those opportunities where one piece of content can go across multiple. Kind of going back to what I was saying just before this, it can start, you can actually use that blog article that can start as content for your blog that becomes content for social media, maybe on Meta, and then you're actually repurposing that again for TikTok, over on the Pinterest. So as you see, ways to take
Yes.
any content you're creating and expand beyond that.
I would just say, I've seen this before where don't like save the video from TikTok. Like use the original video because I've seen it where it has the TikTok logo and then they post it on Instagram. And that typically doesn't go over that well.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, don't take those shortcuts. Use the real the
Yeah.
original files. Create
Yeah.
specific for each platform. So
Yeah.
I see that a lot myself.
Yeah.
So want to give examples. We've talked about some engaging content. Actually, let me flip over to this screen. It's going to be easier to see here. So we talked about things like unboxing is a popular trend nowadays. This is an example of that. But this could work as an advertisement or as an organic post because the quality itself, the video quality is good, and so it's not poor video quality. But as you can see with like the model's hands and the way that it's shot, it's not overly professional. So it still has a little bit of an organic feel to it. So this is a good example of content that we feel works well for both ads and organic posting. Kind of hits on those items that I was mentioning earlier, that you want to be able to achieve within your content creation.
Yeah. And I would say 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10, the accounts that are performing well have their whole feed is videos like this. It's always the short form video content that performs. And so the ones that have the most engagement and the biggest following is typically 100% short form videos. Maybe like if there's a static post, it's because they have something to say or, they're, t talking about something important, but not, that's the exception, not the rule. It's usually short form video content that performs.
100%. Can't go wrong with it. I think that, yep, that's it.
All
Any
right. Yeah.
questions?
Anyone have any questions we can answer for you? Feel free to type them in the Q&A or in the chat, whatever's more convenient for you. Can you also go to the next slide, Brad? And then the next one. Also, if while we're waiting to see if anyone has any questions, these are a couple of the services that we offer. So feel free to reach out to us. We do Shopify web design, like I'd mentioned in the beginning. We're a Shopify Plus partner, the only one in the jewelry space. We do a lot of point of sale integrations, full digital marketing management, SEO, and answer engine optimization, PMAX and meta advertising management, email. We also have like, jewelry products we can sync over the website. So a lot of different services we offer. Can you go to 2 slides after this? And then, or keep going one more, sorry. If you do have any questions, you could reach out to us. Brad is just brad@gemfind.com if you have questions for Brad. I'm Anthony@gemfind.com. And you can always reach us at our 800 number. If you like to just answer questions directly, or if you like copy of the slides or a copy of the recording, then feel free to reach out to us. The recording will typically be sent after. Oh, hey, Tim. Tim raised his hand. Yeah, you could feel free to type in a question if you need to. If not, again, feel free to email us, Tim, whatever is more convenient for you. Um, but yeah, you can email me, you can call me directly, and happy to send over the slides if you'd like. just go ahead and email me. Also, we will send out the recording. Sarah on our team will typically send that out a couple days after the recording gets processed. So, yeah, reach out to us anytime. Doesn't look like we have any questions in the Q&A. So I know that's a lot of information. Typically, when they're heavy on information, we don't get as many questions, but we appreciate you spending your afternoon with us. And again, feel free to reach out anytime. Brad, thanks for your involvement. Lot of great information. Any final words, Brad?
Just if you need any help with your digital strategies heading into this year, I'm sure that we can help you out.
Yeah, and happy to do like free audits for you or analysis. Competitive analysis is part of like our service that we offer. So feel free to reach out anytime. All right. Thank you everyone for your time and have a great rest of your afternoon. And thank you, Brad.
Great.
All right. All right. All right. Take care.